Hello, creative people! Welcome to our channel. Today, I'm going to make a floral arrangement. And for that, I'll be using my Van Gogh watercolors, a large brush, a medium brush, and a thinner brush. In the floral arrangement I'm going to make, I'll use a cherry blossom and a pansy flower. I teach how to draw these two flowers in my book, Watercolor Flowers, without the use of a sketch. Let's look for it here so I can show you. Pansy. This book is a guide so we can draw and paint watercolor flowers with or without a sketch. So here is how to draw it, what the flower looks like, and I can make it in various colors because pansies come in several colors. The other flower is the cherry blossom. It's also here in the book how to draw and watercolor the cherry blossom. So based on these two flowers that I teach here in my book, we're going to make a beautiful floral arrangement. This right here is my desk guide. To start this arrangement, I'm going to make a background. For this, I'm going to moisten a paper that is right here. I'm just using cellulose paper because this is meant to be an accessible watercolor, but you can use a mixed media or cotton paper. It's up to you. I wanted to do something more relaxed for everyone. Let's wet it, but not soak it. We'll notice that the paper will get shiny, but it won't have puddles of water. I chose to make my background using cerulean ultramarine blue with a little quinacridone rose, Prussian blue, and yellow ochre. My mixture is already made right here on the side. So let's begin. First, I'll apply the Prussian blue to the paper. Let's use circular motions to get a nice finish. If you need to, wet it with a little more water. I'm going to mix in a little bit of the other mixture I made with ultramarine blue and a little quinacridone rose. No problem if it drips, it's all part of the fun. Going in with the cerulean blue, I try to blend it and I finish here with the yellow ochre. Why did I finish with yellow ochre and not use just any other yellow? Because mixing yellow ochre with blue usually doesn't turn green. I want this bottom part really dark. I'm going to soften the edges a bit with water. Right here in this yellow ochre area, I'm going to want my cherry blossoms. So I'm going to dab it a few times with a paper towel because the cherry blossom is very light, and I want this yellow ochre to be really light right here. To finish, I'll use a piece of plastic. Nicely crumpled. It can be plastic wrap, it can be regular plastic. Place it just like this, very irregularly over the painting. There's not much to it, because I want texture down here. And now I'll wait for it to dry. I'm only going to do the drawing after the background dries, so see you in a little bit. I believe it's already dried. It's nice and dry. Well, what did I decide to do then? Let's do the cherry tree, the cherry blossom, in this lighter part. And in this darker part, I'll do the pansy. I'll start with the cherry blossom. We know it has 5 petals. I could draw or paint directly on the paper. I decided I want to paint directly on the paper. I'm not going to draw, so I'll leave my book right here with my references. So let's go. I'm going to use quinacridone rose to make my cherry blossom. In this case, how am I going to make this flower? I know it's roundish and has 5 petals. So first here, I'll make the first petal. The cherry blossom is an extremely delicate flower, so really we have to make it with delicacy. First petal, nice and plump. Second petal here, also nice and plump. The brush I'm using here is a blended hair brush, so it picks up a little more pigment than a synthetic one. My last petal will be right here. The cherry blossom usually has a very dark center, so we're going to use a very concentrated burnt umber here while the petals are still wet, because I really want it to spread around there. Let's make another flower. I'll do it a little higher up right here. First petal, I want it turned towards that side, so I'll make this petal also turned like this, towards that side. Second petal. I want it more or less how it is here. Now I'm going to make smaller petals here, tiny ones. Again, I come in with burnt umber. Its center is still wet right there. I place a little drop and let the water do its work. Don't worry, the water will do its work here. Did this one, I'll make a third one here. Let me see if it'll be from the back. Yeah, let's do it in this style right here. Look, it teaches how to draw it here in the book. It's facing away, as if it were turned with its back to that side. So let's get to it. First, I'll make a petal. Notice that since I'm reaching an area where the background is a bit darker, I darkened my cherry blossom a bit, so the background wouldn't show through as much. Could I have, when I had done the background, left a space for whites, more whites? I could have, but I forgot. Again, one more petal. Just a smaller one right here. We pick up a bit more pigment of quinacridone rose, a bit more pigmented. We place it in some areas. Again, we come in with burnt umber, which is much darker in this bottom region right here, acting like the beginning of a stem. Here will go another little cherry blossom that I decided to do. This one has its petals facing up. It would be more or less this shape right here, turned way up. Again, with the burnt umber much more concentrated, we make the center. To complete the cherry blossom part, I'm going to make a bud. The cherry blossom bud is very easy to make, so let's go. Let's put a bud here. And another one right here. A little burnt umber at the base for the stem. We can place one more bud in this area right here. Showing a bit more of the center. And then you guys can give it a little pull like this when it's dry. Where I wanted the cherry blossoms, I've already done them. I'll now do the pansy flower. Well, the pansy we see right here in the book. I'll start with the main petal. This flower also has 5 petals, the main petal being an upside-down heart, and in its center is a circle with 2 ellipses, one next to the other. So let's go. Let's choose the color first, right? I'm just going to place the 2 flowers right down here. Put one on this side, and the other I'll put right here. I'll just go ahead and leave the 2 main petals done the way I want. Very loose indeed, guys. I'm going to mix a little quinacridone rose into this ultramarine blue to make the other petals. Remember I said there's a little ball right here in the center where we're going to put the core, so we have to respect that. Just imagine it here, okay? So let's go. Here is the second petal of my pansy. We can see after making these 3 petals that from up here, 2 more petals come out, completing the circle that's right here. So let's do that. I'll make the petals much stronger, changing the tone of the other 2 petals a little bit. The main circles for the center will be here, so I pull a petal this way. While that one dries, we'll do the same right here. The main circle will be right here. I pull a really big petal, which is the second largest petal, because the biggest one is the main one. We do the same now for this side. With my blue, I'm making small details now on this petal right here to darken the details a little bit. If you want to switch to a finer brush, you can switch. Same thing here on the lilac petal. Wanting to give it some texture lines starting from the center. So, starting from the center, we'll make these little texture lines on the petals of this pansy. It's still wet, which is good. That moisture will disperse, giving it more of a natural appearance. Remove the excess. We do the same right here. To make the center of the orchid, I'll use the medium yellow right here in the palette. Let's place it in this bottom part of the center circle. Don't worry about this top part at all. Done. When this part is dry, I'll finish the top part because I'll use white acrylic paint on the top. In the meantime then, let's do the foliage. The stem and foliage of the pansy, and the trunk and foliage of the cherry tree. The leaves of the pansy are like this, very irregular, so we're going to reproduce that. If you want to make a bud right here on the side, you can do that. It's up to each of you, okay? So let's go. I'm going to use sap green. I'll take advantage of this yellow that's right here. Why am I starting with the foliage down here? Because the pansy leaf is lighter than the cherry blossoms, which is closer to an olive green. So later we'll use the remaining green right here to make an olive green. Center of the flower, let's pull a stem right here. We can use the same stem, the leaf, pull to the leaf. We clean the brush, and let's work on the leaf. That's exactly it, completely irregular in various sizes. You don't need a lot of leaves. Don't worry about the yellow having invaded the pansy petal. If you look closely at a pansy, the yellow really does invade the petals. Use this yellow to your advantage. Mixing a little burnt sienna into the sap green gives us the tone I want to use up here too. The cherry tree trunk is usually quite dark, so let's go. Like it is right here. It's very dark and the flowers basically come right out of the trunk, okay? It gets quite chaotic indeed. Mix burnt umber into the green. Keep pulling trunks in a chaotic way from the base of the flower. This one is facing back, so I've already placed the trunk facing back too. The cherry tree, besides the trunks, has many thin branches which will reproduce just with the tip of the brush. Little twigs, right? Put more green here in this brown and it will become a tone of very brownish green, almost an olive green. Let me grab a piece of paper right here to show more or less the tone I want to use. Yeah, I want it even lighter than this. More towards yellow, so I put a little bit of burnt sienna. This is the tone I want. So now I'm going to make some cherry blossom leaves. Tip of the brush, pull. Tip of the brush, pull and release. Always coming right out of the stem.
I felt this side of the painting here was a bit empty, so I'm going to add a pansy bud. This is how you make a pansy bud. One larger petal and a slightly smaller one on the side. I'll grab some ultramarine blue here to make the larger petal. I'll make two buds, one facing this way and another facing that way. Make a C shape, see? Now I'll make a smaller one next to it.
At the base of the bud, we make the bud's leaves.
And to finish up, I'm going to use a little white acrylic paint. If you prefer, you can use a Posca pen. Feel free to do so. Let me grab another brush here, because up here in the center of the pansy there are two little white dots, like this. Let's see if my Posca pen is thick enough, then I'll do one with the Posca pen. I'll add some details here on the leaf. It's optional, do it if you feel your drawing needs it. Here, I felt it needed it, and there we go. Our cherry blossom and pansy floral arrangement is done. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. Just a reminder that my book is for sale on Amazon and it's currently free for Kindle and Prime Unlimited subscribers. I'll leave the link here in the description. And here it is, all done. A floral arrangement completely made without the use of a sketch for us to paint together. Thank you for your company, and see you next time.
Enjoy! They're still free for Prime and Kindle Unlimited subscribers.